Okay, let's dive right into this explainer with a wild trend that has absolutely taken over your social media feeds recently. I'm talking about the great sunscreen panic. If you've spent any time online, you've probably seen a wave of influencers literally tossing out their daily SPF, claiming it actually does more harm than good. But today, we're going to step back, rely on actual science, and cut straight through the noise.
So, let's start with the high drama fueling this whole fire. The question driving millions of views right now is this: is your sunscreen actually poisoning you? These viral rumors are spreading like wildfire, claiming that the chemical sunscreens we've trusted for decades are toxic, that they're seeping into our bloodstreams and acting as hormone disruptors. I mean, it sounds terrifying, right? And human nature says when we're scared, we just stop using the product altogether.
But hold on a second. We really need to contrast that fear-mongering with a hard, undeniable reality. Skin cancer rates have literally tripled since 1975. We're talking about over 5 million cases treated every single year, costing over $8 billion. And here's the kicker. Nearly 90% of those skin cancers are directly associated with UV radiation exposure. It is the most common form of cancer in the United States. So skipping your SPF because of a scary internet rumor, that is a massive, life-threatening risk.
To understand where this internet panic actually came from, we need to look at the science that sparked it. Let's move to part 1, the 2019 FDA absorption study. Back in 2019, the FDA ran studies showing that, yeah, older chemical filters used heavily here in the US actually do absorb into your bloodstream. Ingredients like oxybenzone and homosalate were detected in the blood and on the skin weeks after they were last applied, which obviously raised some red flags about potential hormone disruption. On top of that, filters like avobenzone aren't even photostable, meaning they break down super fast in the sunlight and can cause skin irritation. But, and I cannot stress this enough, the medical community's answer to this data isn't to stop wearing sunscreen entirely, it's to demand better sunscreen.
And that consumer demand brings us to part 2, the transatlantic sunscreen divide.
The root of this whole problem is actually regulatory. In the United States, sunscreens are strictly regulated as over-the-counter drugs. Because of that rigid classification, U.S. manufacturers are totally stuck using those older, outdated filters we just talked about. If you've ever slathered on an American sunscreen and felt like you were covered in this greasy, heavy white paste, especially if you have deeper skin and it leaves that awful ashy cast, that is exactly why. Now contrast that with Europe and Asia. Over there, sunscreens are regulated as cosmetics, so they get to use highly advanced, photostable filters that go on completely clear, feel incredible on the skin, and give you superior UVA protection.
Which leads us right into the Americanized K-beauty trap. You might walk into your local US store, spot a famous Korean sunscreen brand, and think, awesome, I'm getting the high-tech stuff. Well, not quite. Because those foreign sunscreens face strict FDA rules to be sold physically in the US, brands are legally forced to reformulate their products using the exact same outdated American chemicals. It's crazy, right? The only way to get the truly authentic advanced formulas is to import them online through third-party international retailers.
So why on earth is the US so far behind the rest of the world? Welcome to part 3, the 25-year FDA bottleneck.
Get this. We have to go all the way back to 1999. That is the year the European Union approved a highly advanced filter called BMT. 1999 is also the very last time the FDA added a new active ingredient to its sunscreen list. Let that sink in. For over 2 decades, the US stood perfectly still while global skincare innovated. Congress tried to help, passing the Sunscreen Innovation Act in 2014 and then the CARES Act in 2020 to streamline the whole over-the-counter process. But it wasn't until June of 2026 that the FDA finally approved a new ingredient.
To put the sheer madness of this regulatory system into perspective, $18 million. That is the minimum amount of money one European company spent just trying to get a single new ingredient approved in the United States, and it took them over 20 years to pull it off. The cost and the red tape are so extreme that most companies just don't even bother trying to bring better filters to the American public. But thankfully, all that effort actually paid off.
Which brings us to the exciting stuff. Part 4. Meet the new super ingredient.
The ingredient making all this noise is called Bemotrizinol, or BMT for short. It's a highly effective, super photostable UV filter. And here's the absolute magic part that directly answers the internet sunscreen panic. BMT is made up of really large molecules. It's like trying to push a basketball through a chain-link fence. Because the molecules are so large, they do not readily absorb through your skin and into your bloodstream.
This right here is why dermatologists across the country are absolutely cheering. BMT checks literally every single box we've been waiting for. It blocks UVA rays, which cause premature aging, and UVB rays, which cause sunburns. It's totally photostable, so it won't break down while you're enjoying the beach. It is beautifully transparent, meaning finally, no more chalky, ashy white cast for skin of color. And because of those big molecules, no blood absorption. It is a massive, massive win for both consumer safety and how the product actually looks and feels on your face.
And you know a regulatory shift is a big deal when even the historically strict advocacy groups are celebrating. The Environmental Working Group, or EWG, who have spent 2 decades pushing for safer sunscreens, is calling this FDA approval a landmark decision for public health and consumer protection. The Skin Cancer Foundation is echoing that exact same sentiment.
Okay, so the science and the history are fascinating, but let's connect this back to you. Part 5, what you should actually buy.
Here is your immediate, no-nonsense game plan for your next pharmacy run. Step 1. If you are worried about chemical absorption right now, today, switch to a mineral sunscreen with zinc oxide. It sits on top of your skin instead of absorbing into it. Step 2. Mark your calendars for September 2026. That's when the very first U.S. products containing BEMT, which will be marketed under the name Parsol Shield, are expected to finally hit the shelves. And step 3, regardless of what filter you choose, always apply a broad-spectrum SPF of 30 or higher.
So we've looked at the hard data, we've walked through the crazy 25-year history, and we've unraveled this whole internet panic. We now know that a truly advanced, transparent, non-absorbing option is finally entering the US market. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing what you know now about the outdated chemicals sitting in your bathroom cabinet, will you finally ditch your old SPF when this new super ingredient hits the shelves? Keep your eyes open, read those labels, and please, protect your skin with the best science available.